Welcome to our live stream of high school sports. Please note that this broadcast is produced by an independent team of sports enthusiasts, and the views, opinions, and commentary expressed are solely those of the commentators and not representative of the schools, teams, or athletes featured. While we strive for accuracy, occasional errors or misstatements may occur. This stream is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Thank you for joining us and enjoy the show.
Yeah, come on, let's go. Hey, you ain't never seen nothing like this. Ain't no telling how it might get. It's the hypest right here. High school sports at its finest. So many highlights, you have to rewind it. Hey, Stream City, let me just remind ya. The heart of a lion, a team full of fighters. So many stars on the field, it'll blind ya. They're giving everything they got till the time's up. Yeah, legends in the making. History is made. We just getting started. You ain't seen a thing. YSN, gotta know the name. They gon' bring the flames. They gon' do their thing. Take it to another level, don't hold back. High school, got a passion and we show that. Got the drive and you know they got the heart. Number one spot for your high school sports. Let's go for the win. Hey.
And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. We're back here on this Tuesday, the 10th of June, 2025. DJ Yokley, Anthony, Ronald Hartwig joining you for YSN Live. And man, Ant, it feels like forever since we've been on. Some of us may have called off the dogs yesterday and showed up to work anyway, and then wondered why other parties weren't involved, and only to be reminded, hey, idiot, you said we were off today. So we're back today, and I'm running late. It's all on me, so I'll take the blame for that. But I had a great conversation with a teacher and a guy I respect a whole hell of a lot. And we apologize for being a little tardy to class today. But ladies and gentlemen, we have a ton to talk about. A literal ton. 2,000 plus pounds to talk about of sports, local sports, regional sports, and what feels like a million years ago already. But it just happened last week. Ant, I guess I asked this question on behalf of everybody. How are you, pal?
We're doing good. We're doing really good. It's been a good week of sports, although results didn't necessarily go the way that any of us wanted them to at YSN. Just fun atmospheres. It's always fun to kind of see teams get to this level where you're going to regional finals or you're going to state semifinals, because it takes a special season just to get that far. So really cool to see teams experience that level of skill and that level of tournament play. But unfortunately, as we all know by now, did not go the way that we all wanted them to. I think every game that we missed a show for went bad. Like we missed a show for losses 3 days in a row.
Karma.
Unfortunately,
it's karma. It's karma. That's what it was for us. And all right, so let's put in perspective a lot of this, because I had a lot of window time over the last week to kind of put this stuff in perspective. A lot of conversations. Because in sports, everything's competitive and everybody bases. We used to do power rankings. We used to do all that stuff. And we would hear, well, this team's better than this team. And this team's better than this team. And I guess the biggest question that I have, and I have not been able, and maybe you can help me with this, and folks that are watching right now can maybe help me with this ideology of when we go to district championships, when we go to regional championships, when we go to state semifinals and state championships year after year, and we are in a unique position at YSN because we represent 60 plus teams, almost to 70, and we come up short. Like, we're incredibly sad. Like, it's heart-wrenching. It sucks. It's awful. And we are part of that community. We're embedded in that community, and we try to be the voice and the soundtrack of that community. But I don't see it as a failure. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
being in the semifinals of the state, or being in the regional finals or the regional semis or the district semis even, I don't see that as a failure when you don't win the game, because you've done so much. But, and this is where we come into a lot of the context of this, is some of these parents, some of these programs, some of these coaches have gotten so used to and accustomed to winning and winning and winning that it is a letdown, because this was the year, and all that hard work that goes into it, they feel is for naught when you come up short. And I guess I don't want to be that guy that, because I am not in any way, shape, or form a participation trophy guy. Hate it. We can interview my wife about that, because I despise it. I'll throw away a 4th place trophy. Hate him. But like, and you're in a semi-champion, state semi, and you come up short, and that's not a failure to me. That's not a failure. That is, you have done everything you possibly could, and you came up short, yes, in that particular contest. But for a season, if you take the airplane view, the 30,000-foot view, there's a lot of teams that would be begging for that, and dream about that, and are never able to accomplish it.
It's really hard to take that airplane view in the moment. That's one of the especially for athletes and coaches. You tell them that right after they lose, they're going to punch you in the face, because they're just so upset about losing that game. I think when time goes on and the hurt of the loss goes away, that's when you can kind of go up to the airplane and see, wow, we made it to the Final Four. We made it to the regional finals. We did all these things that, for the teams that got this far this year, at least, a lot of those teams, a lot of people didn't really think they'd do. We were the underdog season this year. You see Lakeview and Boardman both getting there Lakeview getting there for the first time ever. Boardman getting there for the first time since 2002 in softball. And we've talked about Mooney baseball and how they were a team that was an underdog all season. A lot of people didn't think they would do a lot. They went as far as they did. Canfield baseball kind of finally broke through that district ceiling with all the talent they have. I think when you take some time to get over the hurt of the loss, you realize it wasn't a failure. And I think there's a difference between you lost the game, right? There are things you could have done to win the game, but you didn't lose the season. And I think it takes a little bit of time to realize you didn't lose the season, you just lost the game. And those are two different things.
But for, like, when you say you lost the season or you didn't lose the season,
right?
What does that look like? Because, I mean, there's teams that we have that will probably never sniff a district title. But you and I have given, me more than you, naturally, have given a lot of grief to some of these teams that win a sectional title. Because I'm not so sure a sectional title is one that you bring the bells and whistles with, right? You cut down the nets necessarily for, especially when it's essentially everybody makes the playoffs, you win one game, and you get a sectional title. Again, there's some programs that may only win a sectional title. That might be the high watermark per se for their program. And here I am poo-pooing it. And now I feel I'm trying to organize my emotions here. I don't feel bad for poo-pooing it. It's just you look around and you go, okay, the level could be a lot higher. But can it? You know what I mean? Can that level be higher, or is it just a scenario where you should celebrate a sectional, a district, a regional, and a state semifinal appearance? Because to win a state championship, and you and I have learned this over the course of the last 8 years and one day, that when you it is really hard to win a state championship.
Really hard.
No matter how many divisions, they could do 100 divisions, and I still think it's going to be incredibly challenging to bring home gold in a state title fashion. Right? Am I off on that?
No, it is hard. Even now, like 7 teams out of how many high schools in the state of Ohio? Like
880 plus.
Right. So 7 out of that win a state championship in each sport. Not exactly great odds.
Do you have better odds of getting struck by lightning?
I don't think you have better odds than that. I think they're still better than lightning and still better than winning the lottery. But Still not easy by any stretch of the imagination.
But then you look at some of these teams, and they're year after year after year. I mean, I think the OHSAA, I think that everybody who is a governing body of a sports organization would love if things were just cyclical all the time, right? There's no better business than everybody getting, because every fan, every team is engaged all the time. And the business of sports is you can make more money if everybody's engaged. Right? Hence, when everybody makes the playoffs, right, there's more engagement. And then the trickle effect as teams are eliminated, down to one. But I guess one of the things that I've seen is you have some of these teams that are always in the conversation when it comes to the end. And whether you're open enrollment or private school or whatever it may be, does success continue to breed success? And why is it always the teams that are always there are always there? I mean, you look at Apple Creek Waynedale in baseball. What are they doing that teams, the other 881 teams or whatever it is, aren't doing, that they're always there? It can't just be the athletes, right?
At some point, no. I mean, unless you have like a talent tree of baseball in Waynedale that no one knows about, you're just kind of picking off the tree and say, "Oh, here's this freshman. He's really good. Let's throw him in there." But let's be real. A lot of these cultures and these winning programs in every sport, it's not like that. It's not like they're just pulling talent out of a tree. It's just, I think when you win, you kind of build interest from an early age because there are kids that watch that and want to be that. So you get more engagement from the start. And so you probably, I'm guessing at Apple Creek, you probably get baseball players working to that level a lot younger than maybe some other communities because they see older kids succeed and they want to be that. And that's the thing, that doesn't always necessarily mean that kid working really hard is talented enough to go and impact a state championship team. It's really weird. It shouldn't happen in high school. It shouldn't happen, in college maybe because you get to recruit. In high school, it shouldn't be easy to build a consistently winning program, that goes on for 10, 15, 20 years because you aren't necessarily hand selecting your kids that are coming through. You're stuck with at least regionalized now with open enrollment still your community. I mean, even the open enrollment schools, they're not grabbing kids from like across the state normally. It's like, hey, well, we'll get this kid from maybe across the county or maybe in another community that wants to
the
come
neighboring
play for our
county.
team.
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
You're not getting open enrollment from like Toledo most of the time. Like it's very rare.
Not in like Mahoning County. No,
right.
Because you can't. The kid can't attend school usually.
So it's really weird when you see like it shouldn't be easy to build consistently winning programs, but there are teams that do it in every sport. That seems like every year we're talking about this team being like, how has South Range consistently been a really good softball team? Is it just Coach DeRose and Coach Farron? Is there something to be said about the athletes that stay at South Range? Is it something to be said about the culture? I don't think there's an easy bumper sticker answer. I think it's kind of different for every team and different for every community and different for every program. It's weird. It's an enigma because it shouldn't be that way in high school sports the way it's built up.
Well, that is a perfect segue into. I mean, South Range is you look at the conversation around their softball program, and you ask the perfect question: is it this, or this? There's so many people, and South Range included, parents that were so disappointed of coming up short in the regional final game. And I include myself in that because I think we take for granted. I think everybody takes for granted the ride that you go on when you get hot like that. When you win and you're going back to state and, hey, this is our year. May not have been the way, and we are leading the conversation when we sit there and we go, may not have been the regular season you wanted, but you get hot at the right time. You go on one of those runs, and we've seen multiple schools and multiple programs go on these runs, no matter the sport, and wind up in a state championship. And you go, you want that storybook ending. You want that, oh my gosh, 2018 South Range baseball where they couldn't win 2 games together the entire year, and all of a sudden they win a state championship. That is what Disney would pick up in a script, and you wouldn't believe it if you didn't see it with your own 2 eyes.
Right.
But then when you come up short in moments like that, and I say come up short from a standpoint of the expectations that the program puts on itself. It hurts when you're driving, and this is whatever program it is, and however the season ended, it always is going to hurt, as you said. But then there's that time heals all wounds, and you start thinking about it. And it's not a situation where you're trying to put a Band-Aid on it, but to be a regional runner-up in the entire, what is that, the last 8 teams in the state?
Final 8, yep.
Again, there's over 800 schools in the state of Ohio, and you made it to the final 8 of your division. You multiply that times 7 at 56, and to still be the 56th best team in the entire state of Ohio.
Right.
Not a participation trophy. I don't care which way you slice it up. That is elite. And that's why they say Elite 8, right? I think that we're looking at this in the wrong context. As parents, and again, with travel the way that it is, and I know there's a lot of these different reels going around where we won the World Series. Well, how many teams were there? 4. And we're gonna play for it next week too. Like, to win a state championship is not a given because of what the talent that you have to go through, no matter the division. They're based on schools that are similar in size, obviously. That's how they break it down. But not necessarily schools that are similar in talent. And that's why part of me hates the one-game setup. Part of me loves the one-game setup because anybody can win that state title in any given day. Any given day. And I think, Ant, we have to lead that narration of, and I think we do a good job, especially when it's basically you and I at this point in the season, that are highlighting these student athletes. We have to be able to say, hey, take a step back. Look what you've accomplished. No matter if you came up short, right? The ultimate goal is always going to win a state championship. But you have some of these coaches that we talk to, and they're like, hey, the first goal is to win our conference. Then it's to win a district. Then it's to win, the region. And then we'll let the chips fall where they may. You look at that Canfield baseball team, what they went through this year. Dude, if we would have talked to Coach Weimer halfway through the season, I would imagine, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I would imagine he'd be like, what? You want us to go to state? Like, we're having trouble putting runs on the board against teams around here, let alone, some of the teams that they had to play in the playoffs, in the tournament. And I heard it all. I was at that game in Canton where on the scoreboard, it didn't look great when they're playing Lake Catholic. But at the end of the day, like, let's put this where it was. It was a 1-run game. And then all of a sudden, the wheels kind of fell off.
Yep.
But that Lake Catholic team, the Cougars, pretty good
really
ball club. Pretty good ball club. And I know that at the time, if you ask any one of those student athletes, you ask any one of those parents, you ask any one of those coaches, did it hurt? Absolutely. Did you think you were the better team? Yes.
Yeah, that's when it hurts more. When you feel like you had your chances to win and you had the plays that could have been made maybe, and they don't get made, and then you're sitting there thinking like, we could have won. Like, if you get blown out, if the teams are better than you, it hurts, but it's almost like, well, we ran into a buzzsaw. There's really nothing we could do. Like when you run into Kirtland football, it's almost like, well, what were we going to do? But when you have those like 1-run games where it could have gone either way, and the one player, the one hit just doesn't come to you, that's when it really hurts a little bit more. That's when the salt gets poured into the wound a little bit.
But you also have those magnified moments during the game that you're like, oh, if this doesn't happen, then we don't, listen, it was a 10-run ball game. At the end of the day, when we look at it in the record books, it'll look like Canfield was blown out, and you can build a million narratives off of that. But the context of it, right? What I'm trying to get to, the very, very granular here is halfway through this season, if you go and talk to Matt Weimer and you say your team will finish regional runner-up, and they were having a hard time stringing games together during one point in the season, and you tell him that this is the outcome, do you sign up for that? Every single time. Every single time you run, because you know you got a district championship and you're in the regionals and you're playing baseball for a lot longer than a lot of these teams. That's what I'm trying to get to. Again, participation trophy be damned. I think participation trophies go out the window in the playoffs. Like, as soon as you win a district title, there is no such thing as participation trophy. It is a riverboat gambler, essentially, is what it turns into. Because there's going to be some games you probably shouldn't win, that there's one play that makes an impact that the other team goes, damn, like this was our year. And it all goes by the wayside. And there's games that you should win and fall by the wayside because the other team bet on themselves in one play. And I mean, is there a better example than champion South Range this year?
Right.
Is there a better example?
One play. Literally one play changed the whole scope of that game.
And on the other side, guess what? South Range, I'm going to tell you that Gabby Spooner was safe at second base. I'm going to tell you straight up that she was safe from every angle, every picture that I've seen, every YSN replay, every game changer replay. She was safe. And now she's on second base with no outs, and South Range wins that game. Now people are going to go, whoa, okay. So this is just forefront of my mind. But guess what? There's an impact every play of the game that you can go back and say, well, if this happened, we would have won. Instead of just looking at this and saying, which I think they are now, everybody, because everybody's eliminated. Our spring softball and spring baseball is, and I think track now is officially done.
Track's done. Well. Yep, it wrapped up.
So spring's in the book. You can go back and you can realistically look at this and go, you know what? Even though we didn't come home with, ultimately, I think, to quote you, what we set out to do in a state championship, we still had a pretty damn good year. Still had a pretty good year, considering everything. And 7 teams get to hold that trophy. They get to end without a loss.
Yep.
Everybody else loses. The rest of every other team, 800 teams plus lose to end their season, except those 7. Man. And ultimately you want it, right? You're competitors. That's what you're after. You're after winning it all. But let's not lose sight of the fact that you're a district champion. You're a regional champion. Final 4, Final 2. I think that's where we get lost in translation a little bit. And I'm not advocating losing. I hate losing. But you learn a lot from losing. You learn a hell of a lot more from losing than you ever do winning, right? Because winning, all those mistakes get kind of pushed under the rug. Losing, it magnifies everything. But it also minimizes what you've already done, which is the bad part. That's the part that stinks.
Yep. I get it. It's a hard line to walk, especially as a fierce competitor that you spend, well, even in softball, baseball, it's a shorter season, but like in basketball, you spend from November to February working towards that point, and you feel like you have what it takes to win a state championship. Maybe you get to the Final 4 and you fall short, and that's just a hard pill to swallow, right? It's hard. And we hear in post-game interviews all the time, whether it be in college when they don't win the national championship, or the pros when they fall short in the conference championship or the Super Bowl, whatever it may be. The goal was to win. And that's just the end of the day. That was the goal. And it's hard to kind of separate that from your mind, especially, like I said, in the moment when it's raw. You just had something, you almost had the rug pulled out from you because you felt like all year, we're going to win a state. We're going to win a state. And then it got closer and closer and closer. And then it doesn't happen. It's hard. But I think you're right. I think eventually, once again, with time, you got to move on because there's no way to go back and try to win that game again. and you have more games to play, whether you're playing in college next year or you're playing in high school again next year and you want to make it on the run. You got to be able to move on from that one game that didn't go your way, or else you're not going to get back to that doorstep and try to knock it down next time.
And that's the crazy part. And you talk about these programs. I think a lot of these programs, you get a taste of that victory. You get a taste of what that feels like, the state championship or the state runner-up. It's hard not to want that again. Right. Another taste of that. It's another crack at that. Because I think a lot of these programs, as we've talked about, that becomes, Mike Tomlin, the standard is the standard. Well, the standard now goes from winning a conference to winning a state, and feasibility, it's okay to have your standard be that, but there's a lot of letdown in that. There's a lot of letdown because it's based on the kids. It's based on the teams that you're able to do. And coaches can coach. And I've gone on record, and I will continue to go on record, that high school, second only to amateur sports, is the most influential coaching you're going to get, because you get to college, the talent doesn't need as much coaching necessarily. They need guidance, right? They need, hey, this is how you do this, higher level of education, and this is how we do this, as opposed to high school coaching of, I'm going to tell you what to do and you're going to do it. You know what I mean? Because you believe in the coach, you believe in the program, you believe in the philosophy. College a little different, and obviously once you get to the pros, way different. Because you're seeing it across multiple professional sports, is that coaches don't like their players don't like their coaches, and it's a business at that point.
Right.
It's not a business in high school. It is, but it's not like that. Not those relationships. Those are peer to mentor relationships, and if you look at, Coach DeRose, and he has so much love and appreciation, as do many coaches. And I'm just pulling DeRose out of the hat because I have the longest relationship with him. Those girls would play for him and run through a wall for him because he believes in them as much as they believe in him. And we talk about culture all the time. I think that's part of it. And having coaches that, he's got no dogs in the fight. None. Zero. His daughter graduated a while ago. I'm not going to say a long time ago. I'm going to say a while ago, because while you can be interpreted differently. But he's there because he loves the sport. He loves the community. He loves his team. And it's evident across the board. Freddie Moots, same thing. Yep. And I think there's a feeling, you were there, you can tell me if I'm way off base on this, but there's a feeling of, I let the coach down. I let my community down. That doesn't really exist except for you put it in your own mind. Yeah. I can tell you that Boardman community was proud as a peach.
Yeah, I heard none of the Boardman fans go, well, dang, we suck today. There was none of that. There was none of that kind of talk after the game. I stuck around for a little bit, saw everybody. It was all kind of just and one of the things is because Boardman hasn't been there in so long, they were kind of euphoric. We got this far. It was different than a team that, like a Kirtland football or whatever, they gets there every year, and that's kind of the expectation. Boardman hadn't been there since 2002. So
you look at Austintown Fitch. I can tell you this. There's a lot of people that give Fitch a raw deal a lot of times, and a lot of people that could point the finger very easily. And we've known a few of those people. I am incredibly proud of that community for how they've treated this team, because there's a lot of upside. And you're talking dynasty, back-to-back state championships. To embrace Stephen Ward like they have in what ultimately, right, they didn't accomplish the goal that they set out, which is now expected from them as a state championship. I didn't hear much in the way of pointing the finger at anybody. Hey, girls, great year. And that's what's great. Because at the end of the day, and we tell this to everybody, our job is to make these student athletes, these coaches, heroic and give them a heroic sense of belonging within their communities and vice versa. It's tough when you set that expectation and we put them on a platform and a pedestal the way that we do. The letdown is potentially always there.
Right.
But when you see these communities back their coaches, back their student athletes, even in times of what could be easily very polarizing, that is why it's so important to shine a light on this. Because I don't think, he can correct me if I'm wrong, that they're paying, backing up the Brinks truck for Coach Ward or any of these coaches. They're doing it out of the goodness of their heart, out of the goodness of the game that they love, out of goodness of being a leader, a mentor, truly a professional. I mean, the sacrifices these coaches and we talk about the student athletes and the sacrifices they have to make, but you probably double that. I'm probably not far off, just a guess. The sacrifices that these coaches have to make, time, resources, and a lot of them in the prime of their careers, earning wise, and primes of their parenthood. Trying to raise children to be mentors in their very own leaders, and they're giving that up to spend time with your kids. I was very proud, very across the board proud. You and I talk about it. It is the greatest time of the year is playoff time, and it is also the worst time of the year, because when these stories come to an abrupt halt and you see the tears flowing and you realize, and you and I have done this long enough, that some of these seniors, we're never going to see them in those uniforms ever again.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see them in a different context as leaders of their community, leaders at the next level, potentially playing for a different team. But I think as I grow, and I've got a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old that I cannot wait to go through this, you want the time to slow down.
Yep.
You not only just for that, but like there's players and coaches that I would give anything to see them one more time for their community. I know they would give up anything, because I think as an athlete, you always want that one more game no matter what happens in that jersey for that community. Because no matter what college you go to and everybody's excited to make their announcements, you get it. I get it. I know that I wish everybody knows I went to Westminster. If you give me a choice between playing for Westminster, which was great, and playing for East Palestine, me personally, I'm donning the brown and white one more time.
Right.
One more time. And I think that we know that when we go down and we talk to these kids, man, it hasn't hit them yet. They think they've got, it's become such a part of them. Hey, I got one more game, or, you're looking forward, naturally, you're looking forward to the future without embracing that past, without embracing the present even.
Mm-hmm.
That's to me, that's why I get emotional during this time of the year. And that's why I say it sucks to think about not having some of these players play for their sport again, to not call their name one more time. And the great thing, they've dedicated essentially their life to that craft. Well, I mean, I've talked too much. Your thoughts?
I'm right there with you. I mean, I think one of my sparks a couple of weeks ago when the tournament started was how much this is kind of a bittersweet time, because inevitably people are going to lose, and that means their season is over. That means for the seniors that we've poured 4 years into covering, and we're not their family per se. We're not with them every day, but we kind of build relationships with people, and we don't get to see them anymore. And that's kind of one of those things that sucks so much, because you feel like you're a part of these people's lives, but we don't follow them to college, and we don't get to cover their college games. We don't get to interview them for their college player profiles. It's kind of like, hey, 4 years and then go off into the big world. We'll keep in touch with you, but the relationship will never be the same with YSN as it was when you were in high school. And it sucks to know that these seniors, and we're now old enough, 8 years, where we've seen 2 whole classes start and end from freshman to senior year. It's rough. I can't imagine what it's like for the actual, like, the parents and the communities.
Well, and I think that's the differentiator. Is that the right word? Differentiator of what we do. And I was asked yesterday, do you realize what you've done in the media space? And this is an interview that's going to come out at a later date. I have no idea. But that's where that quote kind of came from that we released yesterday, being on 8 years ago yesterday, Brian, Scott, and I. And if you're friends with me on Facebook, you'll be able to see the picture. We got in the car and we went south with his idea, this vision. We didn't even have a website built yet. And the whole idea behind YSN was that we were going to be the ESPN of whatever school it was, right? And we wanted to do this, and I didn't know how we were going to do it. I just thought, man, this is a really good idea. And there's a point to this, I promise. But like, we were turned down 29 times. And I know East Palestine doesn't like when I tell this story, but we were rejected by my own alma mater, which we thought was a slam dunk, being that, schools like East Palestine, schools like the ones in Columbiana County aren't getting nearly enough coverage, other than maybe sometimes they end up in a newspaper, which isn't the same. And what it has grown to today is a different medium than anything that anybody else was used to. And people sit there and they go, well, why are you so obsessed with South Range? Why do you appreciate South Range so much? Because South Range was the one that said, we love this idea. We want to be a part of this. And they have been loyal to us, not just me, us, over the last 8 years. And we've had our tussles with seemingly every single school that we've signed to a contract, and we're still having those tussles. But bringing it full circle, and I think nobody can blame us. I certainly don't, when we have these announcers that grow so fond of these programs, these coaches, building these relationships, building the relationships with student athletes that come back and cover, that want to be part of YSN because it made such an impact on their life when they went through, to your point, 2 generations, 2 full classes from start to finish, freshmen to seniors. And it is hard not to get emotional. It is incredibly hard not to get emotional when you think that's the last time I'm going to see them suit up. That's the last time I'm going to see them do their craft in this capacity. Now they'll come back and they'll be doctors and lawyers, and some of them will get drafted into the major leagues, and some of them will go on and do great things outside of the sports realm. I just had this conversation with a teacher, which is why I'm late to this show today. But no one's ever done that before. There's the blueprint that we created for YSN has been torn up, shredded, and we've completely rewritten how media fulfills. And that's not a bad thing. I think that's a very good thing, because the media is a very dirty business and very dirty industry, very political, very manipulative. And we do our damnedest not to get involved in that, not to get our hands dirty. You know what we love? Trust me, it's a business. We like money just fine. But we love showcasing sports the way they should be. And again, our dear friend Andy Hake gave me this a long time ago, and I'll bang this drum until it breaks. Providing a heroic sense of belonging to student athletes, coaches, and their communities, and vice versa. I would much rather you run into someone at a grocery store who you saw on YSN and you talk about them, and you tell them, hey, I saw you on YSN, or I saw you playing the other night. Great game. Because what they're able to build from that is someone's watching them. Even as fans in the stands, you're not able to go up to those players and say, hey, great game. Or maybe you are. But to be in a different realm, you know how I feel about that word.
Whew,
To be in
he said
to
it.
be in to be in a different location other than a sports field or sports court, and to tell someone you appreciate them for what they did, it's a special feeling. And again, that's that heroic sense of belonging that we talk about, that we yearn for. I think we all yearn for it, right? We don't get into sports because we want to be famous. We get in sports because we love the game. We just try to make you a little bit more famous than you would have otherwise. That's the difference, right? We're not doing this because, hey, if we interview this person, we're going to get $1,000 sponsorship.
Right.
Anthony, if we did that, we would be rich beyond our wildest dreams. We do it because we love the sports and we love the character of these kids. And people talk about our all-star games. Well, you're making all this money off these kids, man. I'll tell you what, no, we're not. We don't make a dime off of our all-star games. In fact, we lose money every single time.
Here are the books.
I just cut a check for $3,500 for t-shirts. You know, like, we'll never see that money again. And you can say, well, they're advertising you. No, like, kids like t-shirts. Parents like t-shirts. They're proud of what the games that we do. And we're going to be giving all of that money that we raise at the gate to charity that we deem necessary. And we're trying to lead by example, because in an industry such as media that can be political and grimy and dirty, I was taught a long time ago, be the light. Be the light. Be where you know, what was it, Maya Angelou that says, be the difference you want to see in the world?
Yeah.
Not a lot of us get that shot, and we're not going to take a lot of credit for it. In fact, we don't get an awful lot of credit, which is fine with us. That's not why we started. But I think the world needs to know, Ant, and a little peek behind the curtain here at YSN, the amount of work that goes into 60 plus schools and doing it regular, making everybody feel special and making everybody feel wanted and loved, instead of, quite frankly, crapping all over, you know, because they didn't reach expectations. It takes a special mindset. And guys like you, my friend, who continuously keep me centered, and, you know, people don't see the pats on the back that you give me and, hey, keep your head up kind of deal. It's tough. It's tough. And this isn't a crybaby thing. This is you said something to me. Why did we start this? Why do we do this? And it calibrates you, recalibrates why we do it. And we've gone through situation after situation where somebody wants to come in and they want to tell us who we are and why we do what we do. And you're always that guy that goes, that doesn't smell right. You know, like, people wanted us to be Barstool. There's a group of individuals that came in and worked for us and thought that they had leverage or power, and they wanted us to become very similar to what Barstool is. Now, I respect Barstool. Dave Portnoy is a visionary, but that's not who we are. That's never who we're going to be. Same thing, like, I love Pat McAfee. There's things that Pat McAfee and their show does that I would love to do, but that's not us. And it's the people like the Mike A's. It's the people like the Rob Johnsons, the Denise Kurlicks, the Ryan Reese, the Will Otis. The list can go on and 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 on. But they love us and they appreciate us and they understand why we got started. Not necessarily where we're going to go, but why we got started and why we traveled down to Columbus to do a 12U baseball game.
Right.
Why we go, you know, you did the Storm 2 years ago. You followed them around. Why we do blast tournaments. Why we do what we do. And there's no expectation that, hey, this is going to make us a lot of money. It's just, hey, this is the right thing to do. This is the right thing to do because we do that better than anybody. It's just doing the right thing over and over, which I think correlates to the teams that we represent. and I can sit and pout, and you can sit and pout about, man, we didn't get to this game. We didn't get to this game. And there's school boards out there that'll sit there and go, we don't like YSN because they treat this school better than ours. But the reciprocation, the looking in the mirror and say, how do we treat them when they're here? How do we help them accomplish what we want them to accomplish?
Right.
Again, I don't think that it's crazy to think that the success over the last 8 years is based on relationships, based on partnerships, based on people believing in us. And I will always believe in people that believed in us from the beginning all the way until now. And that's not just with their checkbooks. It's with their words. It's with their time, their resources, their appreciation. And we're not trying to pander to get pats on the back. We know we have a job to do. But I think some of these people, especially people in this chat, people that watch this show, I think they realize that it can be just as draining because you and I, you especially, and hopefully you can dive into this because I need a drink of water after talking for so long. But like most parents are set and coaches obviously on one team, sometimes even on one player. It is our job. It is our duty. It is our profession, Ant, to make every player on every team feel as respected and feel like a superstar, and every coach feel like they are the Phil Jackson of our region. And I think we do it better than anybody. But the not disappointment. What's the word I'm looking for? The letdown when it all comes crashing down. It's tough, man. And to see, like, it's like being kicked in the you-know-whats over and over and over again this time of year sometimes, right. And it's like, check on the welfare of your local broadcaster because, like I texted you, I'm like, you all right? Are you good?
Because everything that you as a parent are feeling, we feel it like 3 or 4 times in a row.
That regional championship stinks whenever we lose 3 of them. And it's like, ow,
it's like
ow.
If you've seen The Hunchback of Notre Dame, the cartoon where there's this old guy in a cage and he breaks free and he's like, I'm free. And then he gets trapped in something else. And then he breaks free, but then he gets trapped in something else. And that's what it feels like. Like you get over the regional final, then the next team loses and you're stuck again. Then you get over it. Then the softball team in the state loses. Then you're down again. And that's what it feels like.
The funny thing is, Ant, is you came in and you were just South Range.
Yeah.
You only wanted to do South Range. And you only did South Range until, again, peek behind the curtain. One day I said, hey, Ant, this ain't going to work if you're only going to do South Range.
Right.
You're very good. You're very talented. Everybody knows that. But, like, you need to share your talents with other teams and now look at you. You're getting invited to barbecues and all kinds of things. And people want you by name to come do their game because of the appreciation. And, like, I've told you before, for you to wear other schools' colors and, T-shirts and hats and stuff like that, and to represent other schools other than South Range, I couldn't be more proud. Not because, necessarily you're breaking away from South Range, but because you're giving your talents and sharing your talents with other communities that appreciate you. And Rob Johnson, who is only Louisville, right? We brought him in and, hey, I want to be the voice of Louis. You got it, pal. And just had this conversation with Rob, to which hey, Rob, I appreciate that you bleed blue, but I think we need to stretch it out. I think other communities can use you and use your talents. And that's how he ends up, doing these, grand events that he does because he's so good. And I think that's the toughest part. Like a coach, I have to look and go, okay, where can we best utilize your talents? Is it just here? And sometimes, as parents know, and I will learn very soon, sometimes you don't have control of it. And sometimes I just got to let your talents and let your God-given abilities do the talking, and it's tough. And I'm sure it's tough for, it feels like we're cheating on the schools sometimes, because you go, hey, I cover every single South Korean, Ty and Austintown Fitch. And, you hear Ty's name and his voice on a different broadcast, and you go, okay, I thought Ty was our guy.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he's YSN. And again, we cannot thank enough people. Because I can tell you, after the first 3 years of not getting any money, not having a paycheck, and, having my wife believe in me and basically carry our family through that time as the breadwinner, I'm so appreciative of everybody who either loved us or hated us, that crossed our path, that fueled our tank. That, dude, I can't believe 8 years has gone so fast. I can't. I remember sitting with you in Huntington Bank Stadium covering that state championship and wondering the next day, hey, do we have enough gas money to get down here again? And rolling out of bed and wondering if we still have a business for that first year and a half. I remember the first $100 check from Libs Market. I remember Greg Burbick and G. Burbick Farms and that historic commercial, that mood at the end. I remember chasing paychecks, and the dark side of the business world is, there's people that never paid for their advertising, but we had to move on. We had to march on. And I remember people that paid, that didn't have, 2 pennies to rub together, that said, I want to invest in you, and still invest in us to this day from a standpoint of advertising and sponsorship. We've gone from $100 checks to hundreds of thousands of dollars a year that we pay to local broadcasters, guys and girls that always wanted to do what we do because we've always wanted to do what everybody else does. Mm-hmm. This is one of the greatest blessings outside of my family, outside of my children, outside of my friends that I will ever know. And I'm saying this publicly because I really do mean it, that I appreciate every good thing, bad thing, and every part of the spectrum in between that this has brought to me. I wake up, you and I talk about it all the time. We giggle about it, how stupid our life is that we get to wake up and talk about sports when this is all we wanted to do our entire lives. And the setbacks that we've encountered, whether we saw them as good things or bad things, the triumphs, the tribulations, it's easy to sit back and want people to feel bad for you and to play the victim. It takes a special kind of person to take those tribulations and that you've gone through, that we've gone through, and to come out the other side and not shine a light on us, but shine a light on someone else. We are the luckiest human beings on the face of this earth. The luckiest. And there's a lot of luck that went into it. And it's a lot of God that went into it without thumping my Bible this afternoon. But, dude, 8 years of this, and there's no stop in sight. Like, I can't thank these people enough. These people who are giving us even the time of day, even if they disagree with us. It's great to be talking about greatness. And again, I pinched myself. I pinched myself this morning because I got a book signing later, and the kid that had a barely 2-point GPA in high school, 3.9 in college, by the way.
3.9.
Dean's list. But if I had a DeLorean, went 88 miles an hour back into the future or back into the past, and I was able to look at that 7th grade boy and say, you're going to own a business someday that changes people's lives and perception of sports and how people cover sports. And oh, by the way, you're going to write a children's book. He'd shoot me because he'd think I'm a witch or a wizard. Like, I just don't, maybe he's not smart enough at that point to realize that, But dude, I'm telling you what, I'm always going to be just a kid from Palestine, and love being the underdog, love proving to these suits, these people who told me that I wasn't good enough, and I'm sure you're in that same boat. So many of our announcers and people that we deal with are, and that's our story. Our story is by any means necessary, whatever it takes. And I think that continues to be our story to this day. And again, all grace goes and glory goes to God. But man, the thank yous, we would be writing for the next 8 years. Thank you notes to everybody. But thank you. Thank you, Anthony. Thanks to your lovely mom who's believed in this journey because she could have cut the cord on this a long time ago. Thanks to my beautiful wife who could have cut the cord even sooner.
Even sooner at the start.
Thanks to Brian Scott. Let's not get that twisted. A guy that deals with a lot more of the struggles technically than we even could imagine. Thanks to our sponsors, the advertisers, the ones that were, the ones that are, and the ones that will forever be, and the ones that aren't even here yet. I can't thank you enough. The people that watch this show for some reason, it's just been incredible. And to talk about sports, and we're not done. Like, this is not the farewell. Like, buddy, we're just getting started. You know how that is. But like, I just thank you. Thank you. Thank you, each and every one of you. Thank you. We appreciate you always and forever. And yeah, I didn't see it's going this way, man.
You know, I remember the COVID years when we spent the summer like saying every day it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. But then if you remember the fall of like 2020, like where sports kind of came back, but it was couldn't go. And that's the first year we did video broadcasts. How much that accelerated us. I mean, we had the conversation where we were like 10 years ahead of schedule because you thought there's no way we'd be this big, this fast. And in year 3, we were where you thought we'd be in year 10. And, you know, getting through that COVID year really was the breaking point of YSN because if we don't get through that summer, tap dancing like crazy, you know, filming Wii tournaments in the studio, whatever we did just to keep ourselves busy.
Reading books, reading stories.
Can you imagine if we just kind of packed it in when sports shut down and we just said, you know what, good try, bad timing, which we could have. There were a lot of times when we could have been like, yo, this sucks. We're out. But we didn't. And as soon as sports came back, it kind of put us all in the overdrive a little bit. And here we are, you know, 5 years after that, 8 years total. I mean, we're probably way past where you imagine we'd be if we told you, where do you think you'll be in 8 years back when you started it, you know?
The rooms that we've sat in, whether it's me or someone on our behalf, or I can't tell you that I'd ever expected a partnership with Game Changer. You know, doing NFL Flag in Las Vegas, in Chicago, in Tampa Bay, and Texas, like Dallas, like stuff like that, where you know it's almost forgotten what we've been able to do. Because Anthony, we've been drinking out of the fire hose since COVID. Let's put some context to that, because everybody remembers Wine with DeWine and all that stuff, and everywhere, and hopefully people can understand as we talk about it 5 years later that everything around us was shutting down. Like
literally in that plaza.
And not getting political, and I'm not going to, but in the plaza, we looked to our left, shut down. We looked to our right, shut down. Everything was being shut down, and business owners were at a very, very huge disadvantage. And we were in our infancy. I mean, probably if you're talking about comparing it to a child, couldn't even walk yet, just figuring out how to go forwards and backwards. Because the OHSAA, who we were paying more money than I made, still are, by the way. We've had that conversation, Tim Street. Love you. But it's as a business owner, which I never thought I would be, you look around and everybody's shutting down. And I remember having the conversation with everybody and saying, we might not have a choice here in a week, but I've got a choice right now. And I will make sure you guys are paid. I will make sure when we had clients that could not pay, we said, we're not going to stop running your ads. You were there for us when we were starting. We're here for you. We'll keep pushing your advertisements. We'll keep pushing your business as long as you'll let us. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out later. That was a very hard conversation with Brian and my wife, because I was betting on us, as I will always do. And they were like, okay. Because as my wife says, I've got an innate ability to influence and to sell. Sometimes I got to sell myself on stuff, even though, in my heart, I'm like, oh, probably going to lose this one. But I'll never forget. It was 6 days before the football season started. And the football season, if you remember, Ant, was starting late in COVID.
Yep.
And they came out and said, we're going to have a football season. And I was in these rooms and with leagues, with conferences, with different schools. And I said, listen, the way that we understand it is they're not going to let grandparents in. They're going to give kids X amount of tickets. You, as athletic directors, you're going to have to distribute them. And there's going to be some tough choices. I can make your life a lot easier if you let us in. And we fought with the state and the OHSAA about letting cameras into, because at that point, there were no cameras for football. No. Lo and behold, here comes 3 UPS trucks, FedEx, whatever they were. I don't think Amazon Prime yet, but backed up. We maxed out every credit card we had, not knowing. I just remember having the conversation with Brian and saying, this is either going to go really well for us or you and I are going to be bankrupt.
Those are the two options.
$60,000+ in equipment. And we had to distribute them, get announcers in the course of less than a week, a 6-day period, get them into press boxes, all this stuff. And it was, and people were like, you're crazy. You're nuts. Yeah, probably a little bit, but it's, if I'm going down, I'm going down swinging. And I think that is the turning point in the last 8 years. If you had to say, what was the one point, and you felt guilty because you're talking about COVID, people are losing their lives and limbs and everything. And there's so much unrest and uneasiness. And I'm sitting there like, I'm going to build a business in the middle of COVID. And that was the turning point for YSN. And we never looked back. And I remember Todd Thorne, who a lot of people will resonate, that name will resonate with a lot of people, said, hey, I think you guys should make a show in the middle of the day. Like, you, DJ, you do it. And I'm like, dude, I'm dealing with all of this. I don't need to take another hour, because what people don't realize, this show takes more than the hour that we talk about, or hour and 2 minutes that we've been on. Like, there's prep, there's conversations, there's production, there's booking, there's writing, there's all this stuff that
right.
The first show that we had for Power Hour was us. It was a 3-hour marathon.
Just us jackamos.
Just a bunch of idiots. And we were drinking, who could drink the Capri Sun the fastest?
Right.
And it still bothers me that Richie won that. The voice of the the Knoxville Smokies now, Richie Giuliano, who is on to do great things. But why are we talking about this? It's because it's hard to believe what has happened. If you go back, and someday somebody will, and look at how we started, how we were launched into the stratosphere, how we changed, how people will view sports, athletics in this region from the lake to the river forever. You meet guys like Sam Torres along the way that come in, and I'll never forget the first time I met Sam. He came to YSN, he and Ryan, and they were just so flabbergasted to be like what we did. And I'm sitting there like, we're still doing it. Like I don't feel accomplished because I feel like we're still in the midst of an at bat that we're just fouling off pitches to see something to drive. And everybody goes, why did you start YSN? And what's my answer? Because nobody covered baseball and softball. And the Vindicator dies, and the Morning Journal, and some of these other institutions of yesteryear are dying off. And we got a guy and a company in Channel 21 WFMJ and Jack Gerdick who believes he was the one that doubled down on us. He was the one, and I will be forever loyal to them and to him forever. Because they said, we love what you do. And they've invested a lot of time and resources in us, and the partnership with Channel 21 to live the dream of partner with the Mahoning Valley Scrappers, to be able to prove everybody wrong, and to say that first rejection letter from East Palestine that I got, and it was the hardest thing to ever, the hardest pill to ever swallow, because I felt so unwanted. So, and you probably felt the same way when, a lot of things that you've gone through and some of the conversations, and you wouldn't even tell me that you were in a wheelchair when I met you. You just said, hey, I'll meet you at this Wendy's. Me at Wendy's. And then you text me, hey, I'm the guy in the wheelchair. Like it was going to make any difference. And the one thing that will always be the same at YSN, no matter, as long as I'm a part of it, at least, and I hope to be a part of it for a long, long time, is that we don't care about your experience. We care about your heart. Right. And we care about who you want to be and who you propel others to be around you. And that's one thing that we've always had. And, I'll be honest, I've lost sight of throughout, because you still have to run a business, and business takes money to operate and capital to operate. And you're running a rat race. You're running who can get there first. But what I've learned over the last 8 years is there are no blueprints for what we're doing. We are literally the ones with the pen in our hand, writing and creating the blueprint for so many different mediums around us. And we haven't even scratched the surface of what we are going to be. So for all of that, I am incredibly grateful, honored, and cannot thank anybody, again, who has ever cheered for us, who has ever cheered against us. That's fuel for me too. Who has ever invested in us in whatever capacity, who has ever given just a, hey, you guys are doing all right. That means the world. And you're not going to have a lot of founders and owners and whatever you want to call us. They're just titles. We at YSN, we're fans. And we're the kinds of guys and gals that you want to hang out with at a sports bar. And now, I guess we're the kind of people that you want to have in your living rooms throughout. And that makes me more proud than anything. Because that's the arrow that I thought killed the dream, but it turned into, that was the kryptonite. And now it turned into our superpower. Yep. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you from all of us here at YSN for allowing us to live our dream day in, day out, no matter how tough that day might be or long that day might be. You at home are the ones that give us the opportunity to do what we do and talk to who we talk to. So thank you.
I just want to go into these comments. I'm surprised Sam Torres hasn't told us that it's football season yet. You'd think he'd be the first one to mention football as soon as spring sports is done. I
had someone call me earlier, Ant, and tell me it's football season, and I wanted to string that person. I know they don't have cords on cell phones anymore, but we're not there, pal. We're not. Oh, I got the text message of, hey, just FYI, the Penn Ohio game's on the 19th. I listen, nothing against the Penn Ohio game. You know, we love it. Love being the home for it. Mentally, not ready. Not ready to talk about football yet. From a business perspective, yeah, sure. From DJ literally talking about 3rd and 9, not ready. Not ready. But cannot thank these people enough. We got Jen Coons, the life of the party. Glad I tuned in today. Great stuff here. Poor Anthony. Sorry, buddy. That was not planned. I don't have a teleprompter. I go straight off the cuff. Straight off the cuff. It's going to be huge. It's going to be enormous. It's what we do. We are unscripted, which, by the way, I'm reading or listening to that book right now by Ernie Johnson. I'll be sending that your way, pal. That is our life, unscripted. That we want to thank our sponsors, as we always do today. Probably not as nearly as much as we should. Our friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet, which we will be hanging out with on the 29th. Cannot wait to see all our friends from Greenwood Chevrolet out at the Austintown fireworks celebration. So keep that in mind. That's an opportunity to come out and meet us, talk to us. Anthony specifically will be signing autographs that day. So make sure that you come out and talk to Ant. And then I'm trying to think, there's a Rocky Blyer event coming up that will be on the 25th that I'll be emceeing for as well. And I know that Greenwood has a big thing in that. So thank you to Greg Greenwood, everybody out there at Greenwood Chevrolet, for constantly allowing us and supporting us and allowing us to do what we do. Because, man, talked about that gas tank. There were days, wasn't sure we were going to get from point A to point B, but these great sponsors such as Greg Greenwood and so many others allowing us to do that and allowing the YSN truck to move from A to B, and certainly make sure Anthony's high bills are paid each month. And we want to thank Toyota of Warren. Tino's done so much for us and believed in us because, you know, of what we do. And we have so many of those great relationships. And if you'd like to become an advertiser here at YSN, we would love to have you as well. We hope to, it's not just about advertising, it's about being part of our family. So head on over to ysnlive.com/advertise and you can get started today. More kind of boxes to check here, Ant, as the YSN golf outing coming up on July 28th. 8th, right? Yeah, it is a Monday. We want you to come out. We want you to have fun. You can cheat all you want. Winners don't get anything. Okay, I know that probably buckles us a little bit, but we're gonna have T-shirts for you as part of the favors. The what are they called? Thank you bag, gift bag, whatever. Sign your foursome up today. $125 a person. We also have opportunities to have a whole sponsor and be seen by many. And we want. It's at Mill Creek Golf Course. Brian Tolinar doing a great job. Steve Leslie doing a great job of putting everything together. So thank you to him. And then certainly we want to see you out there. I won't be golfing. I'll be, talking to everybody. Yeah. So I'm excited to have that. And then tonight, if you're not busy, come on down to East Palestine. I will be talking about selling and signing copies of Never Benched, which if you told me again that I'd be doing this, I thought you'd be crazy. But I want to thank the East Palestine Memorial Public Library for allowing me to come in and asking me to come in and do this, because this is such a dream come true, surreal experience. Still can't believe that people are buying this book. Like, I was just doing it for my kids, like just to have them something to read that's different. And Aunt, your mom sent in a message today about the book. She just read it. Like, just cool. It's just cool. Surreal experience. So thank you to everybody. Come on out. 6 p.m. tonight, East Palestine Memorial Public Library. I'll be down there. And they said no refreshments necessary. I don't know what that means. Worst case scenario, we'll go down to Sparkle, get a jug of lemonade, some Ritz crackers. We'll sit down. We'll talk about Never Benched, okay? And we'll talk about sports or whatever you want to talk about. I'm just so honored and humbled to be able to do this. What stupid life. Just stupid life. Blessed beyond imagine. And now it is time. Not that I haven't talked enough during this debacle of tap dancing that we've done today, Anthony. But it is time for the Joe Dickey Electric. What's Your Spark? Presented by Joe Dickey Electric. They are everything electrical. And you can visit them on the web 24/7, 365 at DickeyElectric.com. I think it's your turn to talk.
My spark, just welcome back. It's been 7 days since we've been on the show. We are back, babe. We are so back.
We're back.
He's back.
Back again.
Shady's
back.
Tomorrow we're gonna have the last episode of Running with Rick Seibert, Running Wednesdays state championship recap. We're gonna have 2 members of the McDonald track team on with Drew Zajac, who is a state champion in the discus, and the boys team also won state. But then we'll have a member of their girls team as well, and Juliana Krumpak. They'll be on together tomorrow at noon with me and Rick Seibert to talk about winning state and what that means to that program. 3rd time that McDonald track has won state. So going to be fun to talk to a couple of champions.
I cannot wait. Drew Zajac, one of my heroes, as well as his mom and dad. So I can't wait to talk to Drew. I wonder if he'll wear a sweatband during his interview.
He
That's
better.
my question. He'd better. Hey, we're all proud of whether you ended up as a champion this year or not. We are incredibly proud to be able to cover you and to be able to call you part of our family. That's my spark, man. The tangent that I went on today, whether you agreed with it or not, that's how we feel. There's our heart. Wore it on the sleeve today. Usually we cover it up a little bit and talk about these kids, these communities, and these coaches. Thank you for letting us kind of go off script a little bit and tune in for a little bit of the realism, the truth that is what YSN is, and a peek behind the scenes. And certainly we could not do it without each and every one of you that tunes in here at YSN. Just the beginning. We talk about that. We've said this a lot. It is just the beginning, folks. And we are just so honored and privileged to do what we do on a daily basis and to be your sports network. And we'll continue to make it all about you. So on behalf of Anthony Ronald Hartwig, my name is DJ Yokley. This has been YSN Live for the 10th of June, 2025. We hope you have a blessed day. And Anthony, may the sports be with you, pal.
And you, my friend.
YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of your sports network. For stories, stats, and more, go to ysnlive.com.